Hi, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Ken Iverson from Kent, Washington, USA, near Seattle, Washington, USA. It's Monday, the August 30th, 19 or 19, 2010. And tomorrow is the day that President Obama is scheduled to give his speech on Iraq from the Oval Office. It'll be 5 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. They'll be on CNN. There'll be a program before, starting at 4, and I plan to tune in then. I'm really anxious to hear what President Obama has to say, particularly about Korea and about North Korea and Iran. Uh, and we'll get to that maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow. But I want to talk about something else tonight. I want to talk about my 90-year-old mother. I want to talk about collateral damage. I want to talk about the war in Afghanistan. And I want to talk about me. I want to talk about me being a loyal American. I'm a loyal Democrat. I am an Obama Democrat. I believe in everything that he stands for: healthcare reform, Wall Street reform, the Recovery and Reinvestment Act, the lesbian and gay rights. I believe in all of those things. And I also believe in immigration reform. I think what's going on in Arizona now is a travesty, and we have to do something about that. I am encouraging everybody within the sound of my voice to vote Democrat in November, because if the Republicans take over the House and the Senate, they will repeal. They have promised to repeal healthcare reform, Wall Street reform, the Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and they'll block immigration reform, and they'll probably do away with lesbian and gay rights. So anyway, vote Democrat in November. But I want to talk about other things tonight. I just got home from my mother's place. She turned 90 7 days ago on the 23rd. Today the 30th or the 31st? Today is the 30th. She turned 90 on August 23rd, 7 days ago. She was born August 23rd, 1920. She was born in Canada. She immigrated to the United States when she was 19 in 1939. She met my father, Elmont Iverson, in 1942. They got married September 22nd, 1942, and I was born exactly 9 months later on June 22nd, 1943, right in the middle of World War II. I like to say it was in the bowels of World War II. My mother hates me telling that story because she just doesn't like me telling it, because I refer to her sometimes as being very fertile. There's a word for that, fertile myrtle, I guess they're called. Anyway, I had dinner with my mother tonight. I go down every Sunday and every Monday and help her with dinner and put out the garbage on Sunday and then bring it in on Monday. And tonight she wanted to have Kentucky Fried Chicken, so I went to KFC. She gave me the money. That's the deal. I help her, and she has the money. I don't. I told you I'm poor. I live on $720 a month, and I can't afford Kentucky Fried Chicken. So she gave me the money, and I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken tonight and got the two-piece meal, original recipe for her. She likes the potatoes with the mashed potatoes with gravy, and she loves their coleslaw, and that's what I had too. I had the dark meat, and she had the light meat. And then I bought a cake, which she allowed me to bring home with me, and I got a deal on that. They gave me a discount. I asked them if I could have it free for my 90-year-old mother, and they said no, but we'll give you a discount. So the woman went in the office and got a card and swiped it in the machine and gave me their discount. I don't even know how much it was for. Anyway, I brought that home to my mother, and we had dinner tonight, and we talked a little bit. And so my mother, during the last week to 10 days, has slowed down. She's slowing down all the time. She's finding it difficult to get around her home, and I have resisted. She has resisted going into a nursing home or an assisted living facility for the last year. It was just exactly a year ago that she was in the hospital, Virginia Mason in Seattle. She spent 3 days in there. She came out during the really hot weather that we had last August. It was 103 degrees several of those days. She came out. She couldn't go home because it was too hot, and she stayed with my stepsister Alice. She has air conditioning. And then it came time for the four women in my family to go on vacation. and they all went on vacation, and I was left alone with my mother, and they wanted to put her. Vicky and Alice wanted to put her in assisted living, or Vicky did anyway. I think Alice did too. And I said, no, I don't want her doing that. And I told Mom tonight why I didn't want them doing that. I didn't mention this to them last year, but the reason is I had a good friend, and this happens frequently. I had a good friend who lived at Springwood, the public housing property I lived in before I lived here at Mardi Gras. He went into he moved out of Springwood, and he moved to Colorado in with his sister. His name was Roy Allen. He's dead now, and he moved in with his sister in Colorado, and they didn't get along, and so he left and he moved to El Paso, Texas, and that's where he was born and raised, was in El Paso. So he returned to his home, and he couldn't make it on his own, so he moved into a nursing home. And to make a long story short, Roy Allen, one of my friends from Springwood, died 3 days later, and I didn't want that happening to my mother. So when my four sisters went on vacation last August, just exactly a year ago, as they are this year, on vacation, I stayed with my mother 24/7 until they got back and could help out. And I'll be quite honest with you, it damn near killed me, but I made it. And this is a year later. This is a year later. We almost lost my mother last March. The seven of us, there are seven brothers and sisters. It's a blended family. I have two stepbrothers and two stepsisters, and I have a blood sister, Vicky, and I have a half-sister, Lori. Lori lives in Redmond, and that's a story unto itself. Her husband was killed in a skiing accident in 1995, I believe. She's since remarried. She's put 3 kids through college. One of them just started, and she's a saint. She really is. She drinks too much wine for my money, but she's a saint. And Carol is a saint. My stepsister is a saint. She stayed 24/7 with my mother here in, when was it, April or so. I went down to Speller, and that's when I needed a rest too. And Carol stayed with mother. And Jim has turned out to be a saint also. I don't know. Jim and I we had our problems when we were growing up, but Jim has myeloma stage 3. 29 months is the average life expectancy when you're diagnosed with that type of cancer. And Jim is handling himself with equanimity, and he's really, I'm very proud of Jim. I don't know that many of us could have done what Jim has done during the last, 17 months. He was diagnosed in 16 or 17 months ago. Anyway, Jim has helped Mom with a rental property she has across the street from her house. She has 3 properties. She has a spare lot. She has her property, the house she lives in. She's lived in since 1955, and she has a rental. She's rented the property across the street to a couple from the Ivory Coast. They're black, and they're good renters. They're fixing up the place, and then in a year or so they're going to buy it, I think. At least that's the agreement they have right now. So anyway, how are we doing on time here? Okay, so I had dinner with my mother tonight. I got the Kentucky Fried Chicken. We went down and we ate. And then she wanted to turn on the baseball game, the Seattle Mariners. And I told her that I'm not watching the Mariners these days because they lose more than they win, and that there's more pain than pleasure. If they lose more than they win, who needs them? I don't, certainly, and I certainly won't pay money to see them lose. And I'm not going to waste my time if they're gonna lose. I live and die my sports, and I've had enough of the Seattle Mariners. They've been a loser for several years now. In 2001, they won 116 games, which is the most they tied for the most ever that any baseball team has ever won in the history of baseball, 116 games. And right now I'm looking around here, 2001 Seattle Mariners, and I'm looking at the team picture. So anyway, she turned on the Mariners tonight, and then I decided that I wanted to talk to her. Like I said, she's slowing down. she's getting slower, and she's finding it increasingly difficult. She's got aches and pains where she didn't have aches and pains when she was younger, and they're getting stronger every day, the aches and the pains. And so we talked, and I said, look, Mom, we're going to have to get to the point here where we're going to have to talk about, what's the next step after living alone. I'm committed to seeing her live alone in her house. She wants to die in her house, and I'm committed to that. My sister Alice and my sister Vicky are trying to, they're looking at homes right now. Apparently they haven't talked to Mother, but they're looking at homes now for Mother. And I don't know whether it's for Mother or whether it's for themselves, to be quite honest. And anyway, so Mom and I talked about that a little bit tonight. Maybe the next step is assisted living, but that'll be in due time. And she doesn't want to think about it. And I told her that I'm here to talk to her if she wants to talk about it. I'm here for her. And she didn't much acknowledge that, but she doesn't want to think about it because she knows that. She said maybe another 2 years. I said, Mom, you could live another 10 years. And she said, I'll be lucky if I live another 2 years. And we almost lost her in March. All 7 of us were on the phone on a Friday night in March. She had been into a doctor's appointment at Virginia Mason in Seattle, and came home, and the word was that she probably wouldn't make it through the night. And we were all on the phone, and she made it. She rallied. She spent 3 days in the hospital, and she came home, and she's been home ever since. And I'm committed to seeing that she has her wish to die at home. And she doesn't want hospice. She doesn't want a nursing home. She doesn't want assisted living. She wants her family. And I'm committed. I don't want to see her go into a nursing home, but that's ultimately her decision. She has her wits about her. Her mind is sharp, and she's making the decisions, and whatever decision she wants to make, I'll go along with it, whatever that is. And if she wants to talk with me about the decisions, then we'll talk. But I figure, she raised me. Sometimes I thought maybe she was going to kill me when I was younger. She put the fear of God into me, but she is my mother, and I'm committed to seeing that her wishes are carried out. That's the least I could do for her. So anyway, we were discussing all kinds of things, and she said, she said something about Obama's speech tomorrow night from the Oval Office. It's going to be on Iraq, and she wanted to know what he was going to say. And I said, Mom, tune in tomorrow night and find out. Don't listen to all the talking heads, including Glenn Beck and O'Reilly and the rest of them on Fox. Don't listen to what they say he's going to say. Tune in to see what he's going to say, because I don't think any of them know what he's going to say. They all have an educated guess. Well, not even, I'll take that back, not even an educated guess. They have guesses as to what he'll say, and they pass it off as that's the truth. Nobody knows what he's going to say, and I'm going to be listening tomorrow night, particularly to what he has to say about Iran and North Korea, those two. And he probably won't talk about Israel, at least not very much. But those are the two I'll be interested to see what he has to say, Iran and North Korea, because that's part of the doomsday scenario that I've been talking about here for the last this weekend on YouTube. And I'll be talking about it in the next segment. We're getting up to almost 15 minutes now. We got about another minute to go here. Let me say this. This is a crucial time, I think, in the history of this planet. I don't think, I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're heading down the path right now, even as I speak, to nuclear war. And I hope I'm wrong. I wish I'm wrong, but I fear that I'm not. I fear that I'm not. So anyway, we'll discuss this in the next segment. We're running at 14:27, 14:28. We've got just a few more seconds in this segment, and then I'll be back and I'll discuss some of my thoughts on Afghanistan and war and nuclear war in Korea, in Iran, in Israel, and the United States. So we'll be back shortly. 49:50, and we're just about out of time. So this is Ken Iverson in Kent, Washington, signing off for now. Kent, Washington, USA, near Seattle, USA.